Yo, 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 what's good, fellas? We're back with another, and today, we're gonna be doing something we haven't done in a little while. We're gonna be making a little leg video. I kind of just low key totally. It's not that I don't hit legs anymore. I mean, I'm still hitting the legs 2 days a week, and the upper body 3 days a week. But I totally forgot that forgot to shoot. A leg day in a little while. But either way, fellas, this is the first week of the cut. So here we are, starting out fine and dandy. Not gonna lie. It's always like a good. It's always like a good feeling to start the cut. But it's also back to business. You know what I mean? No late night snackies. No BS. It's chicken rice, beef rice, protein shakes, protein bars, and lock the hell in. You know what I mean? Because not only, do you gotta, work a little bit extra, but, you also gotta go get that cardio, all do, besides eating, and then you gotta add the cardio in, which, I'm debating whether, keep the Stairmaster in there or starting to run on the treadmill, but, that's up to, I guess, whatever I want to do, who knows, maybe I'll go sit on the cycling bike, but, I do like that for my knees. But hey, either way, fellas, first day on the cut, second day actually on the cut, because it is a Tuesday. But, either way, we're right back to it. And, the summer shred is, on. So I'll see you guys on the flip for the lift, and we're going to hit this leg day. Alrighty, fellas, so we got coming in here, nice little leg curl. This 3 sets, 10 reps, 7 partials at the end. This one really targeting the hammies here. All I can say is, starting to weirdly on the cut pick up more weight. There's my fine, beautiful girlfriend popping in. She'll be seeing her pop in here and there throughout the video. She gave me a little boogie. Either way, though, fellas, I will say weirdly, also right here is us working alongside with, our leg extensions, hitting the front of the head of our thighs. 3 sets, 10 reps with 7 partials at the end. But back to what I was saying is weirdly, I don't know, for some reason along this cut, I feel like I've actually been getting a little stronger, actually. One thing I thought I'd be doing is either plateauing kind of, or losing strength. But I've almost feel like I've been gaining. And I don't know if it's because more motivation. We on the cut, we locked in doing this and that. But I've been feeling a lot more energized and everything. Right here was calf raises, 3 sets at 12. But I just been coming with a whole nother mentality, and it just feels refreshing. And I think that's the one thing that being on the bulk and / maintenance for so long, and going on and off that, that kind of wear and tears you, because eating all the time really gets it. For the mind, it's come on. I mean, here's the opens, 3 sets, 15 reps. Just want to say that. And then here's the closums, 3 sets, 12 reps. But, it kind of gets, monotonous eating all day, every day, and, just having to hit this, and that. So now that I ain't got to really focus on just eating, and, it's more about just getting at the lifts, it kind of feels refreshing almost. And I feel like that's why I've almost been getting, stronger, because all my energy ain't put into eating, necessarily, as it sounds weird. But or now, because I do got all the muscle behind me to do it, I can just focus on moving the weight more instead of just always eating. Here we are with 3 sets, 10 reps with the squat rack. But I don't know, for some reason it's kind of weird, but I feel like I'm actually getting stronger on the cut, and it's a fresh feeling, and I think that's what it is, along with after having a little layer and not having to focus on food all the time. It's just time to lift the damn weight and, just make sure I'm eating what I really need, because that's the easiest part. It's a lot easier for me to just, eat low calories and keep going throughout my day than it is to eat 3,000-4,000 calories in a day. That's, you got to make sure you're getting, a chunky big meal at least 3-4 times out of the day, which is tough, especially when you're on the go. We roll into our core as well, along with our legs, with leg raises here. 3 sets, 10 reps, with a partial stop halfway through, and then follow through with a partial stop on the way down. You know what I mean? Just not so we're not carrying our momentum as much. That's the biggest part about the stop. You know what I mean? And then bringing it up is just engaging the core a little bit more, especially in that lower region where it is harder to develop your core, especially with, you know, body fat and all that stuff. Then we got the decline here. This thing's jacked up as high as it can really go. But 3 sets, 10 reps with the decline. Sit up here. You know, as always, my happy falling off on this. No surprise. You know, so I just rock with it and I roll with it. And that's one thing about this decline is if you aren't shooting up, that blood's rushing right to your head. So, you know, you better be working hard and you don't want to be sitting there for too long. Because you can see how red my face is. But regardless, though, you know, that's one thing, especially now that we're on the cut, is we're rolling in, you know, core along with legs. You know, and then on top of it, I do stretch still. So to throw that in there, you know, leg day is like the ultimate long day along with cardio.
Fellas, that's a wrap on today's lift. Had to bust the shorts out. Pants were getting a little too hot. But, you know, still working on building them calves up, you know, slowly but surely. Still a little scared. Not gonna lie. The one thing that still holds me back to this day about growing those. But hey, either way, it's a work in progress. You know. Low-key looking amazing. Just 1 week into the cut. Not gonna lie. I've been kind of a little, you know, pity-patty with the cardio this week, you know, just starting the cut, but, you know, we'll be locking in on that. Everything else is looking good, looking great, but I can't even lie. I'm actually pretty impressed with how good we're looking already. But, you know, I'll catch you guys on the flip when we get home.
Alrighty, fellas, and that's a wrap on today's lift. I'm not gonna lie, feeling good, feeling great, you know. You know, still, you know, obviously only 2 days in, but, you know, definitely not always working out on a full stomach. Definitely feels a lot better. You know, obviously we didn't hit the bulk as hard this winter. My bad, I'm so set on the summer, man. I can't wait to get there. But, you know, either way, you know, we didn't hit the bulk as hard this winter, which was actually pretty nice because, you know, realistically, there's only so much weight that you actually have to put on to actually start, you know, getting crazy gains again. You know, so a lot of it's excess weight, especially, you know, last year we were chasing that 315 bench. So, you know, that's where a lot of the extra weight came from. You know, just get that little extra ass behind me. But, you know, that's one thing. We're definitely not too far off from shaping up. So this year's cut will also probably be not as hard. You know what I mean? So we're not going to be hard cutting for 3 months. We're going to be steady cutting for 3 months. So, you know, either way, you know, it's going to be looking good, looking great, and I'm feeling very good about this. You know, not going to lie, you know, a little low energy, but, you know, when it comes down to it, my lifts have been staying the same and everything about that, you know what I mean? Honestly, I don't know. I feel like at the same time, my lifts almost feel better because I'm not like, I can brace my stomach actually a little bit better because I'm not just working on a full stomach and everything. But, you know, either way, you know, I'm looking to bring back that summer shred again, you know, get back to it. You know, it always feels good to take a little time off from it, you know what I mean, bulk up and, you know, turn that fat boy heart on, you know. You know, either way, though, you know, I can't wait to see this in 3 months. You know, it's always a process. That's the thing. Anything in this bodybuilding and even life in general is process. You know, it's all about the process. You know, not necessarily the end goal, but, you know, the work along to get to the goal. But, you know, either way, fellas, you know what I will say to that? Stay hustling, stay grinding, stay focused, you know. And, you know, if you made this far, please leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate it, you know. And that's all I got for today. You know, feeling good, feeling great. You know, first week on the cut. But, you know, it'll probably change in a few weeks. But peace, guys. I love you.